track. Spurschlitten 1 im Ziel, Finals that one in the finish.
Nothing on the table. Nice into 15. Oh, and very late.
genau.
Wir starten beides gerade in der Truck. Vorschlägt startfrei, Ballerzeit, Truck ist klar. Vorschlägt im Ziel, Ballerzeit in der Finish.
Innsbruck in Austria, in the Tyrol region, the second stop on the IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup Tour for 25-26. Welcome back, everybody, to the Königsklasse, the big dogs, the four-man bobsleigh. We are here for the first of our two heats in this second race of the season, following hot on the heels of Cortina last week. Martin Haven, and I'm delighted to have alongside me Cynthia Appiah. Cynthia, you were on the track yesterday and today. Where are the secrets in this track?
So Innsbruck is known as the push champs of bobsleigh. So if you push fast, you're going to get down fast. Right now we're going through corner 3 very easy, gentle curves as you're going through this track. It's quite relatively flat at this upper portion. As we're going into the upper Labyrinth, you want to be round and smooth, no skidding here. You do lose a lot of time if you do skid. As you enter into Kreisel, the big 270 corner coming around down, you can get a slingshot effect as you go through the bottom half of this track. Now, corner 9, this is where a lot of people can have issues, especially in the four-mans. You might see some rollovers. Coming down through corner 10 and now into the lower Labyrinth, as we enter into the new section of this track, corners 13 and 14, we've seen some wild hits coming out of this corner in the monobob, the two women, the two-man, and now we're probably going to see similar action in the four-man. And then we're going to see some new start records and some new track records as well.
Yeah, track record definitely will change. Start record dates back to 2013. Oscar's Melbardis in his winning crew back then. Well, Johannes Lochner there on the right-hand side with coach Rennie Spies. Will he come out on top? Winner in Cortina over this man, Francesco Friedrich. But this is Friedrich's most successful track. 9 consecutive two-man wins until the last 3 races, which Johannes Lochner has won. But he's had 9 consecutive four-man wins. He's won more medals in Innsbruck than anywhere else on the planet. And I guess that's because he's never had a slow start, really.
It really helps having that fast start on a track like this. I mean, someone like Friedrich is someone that you obviously watch and look up to and see how he performs, how he hits the sled, how he drives. He really is a living legend.
Yeah, he probably is, isn't he? He's the exemplar, really. Alexander Schuller back on the four-man sleds. Didn't go in the two-man yesterday. They're cycling around some of their brakemen. And I guess everybody's doing that. You've got a squad of athletes. You want them all to be race fit, but you also want them to be physically fit. So a day's rest or a racing day, important for all of that. Now, it's a big field in the pre-Olympic season. What a surprise. Everybody wants to really bring themselves up to speed before February. So 30 sleds. China's Li Chunjian will be the first off. And the jeopardy here is that only the fastest 20 go through. So if you're following Jakub's calendar of Latvia out onto the track, you know that you've got to bump somebody out. And that's pretty brutal. I mean, it happens in the women's race, happens in the monos as well. You've got to go fast or go home.
Yes, there's nothing worse than sitting in 20th place and knowing that there's a few more sleds after you. Unfortunately, I've had to have that experience a couple of times this season. But once you get into that top 20, you know it's a second chance to really excise some demons.
All right, here we go. Race 2 of the IBSF four-man Bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Innsbruck in Austria. Li Chunjian of China first off, his 25th four-man World Cup race. He was 7th on his debut in St. Moritz in February 2020, and that remains his equal best ever result. 10th place here 2 years ago, 11th last year.
Coming out of the grooves, they have a really nice entry into their sled. First sled off, so you really are the rabbit for the rest of the race.
So 5:12 start. The existing track record at the start, 4:93. The start hasn't been changed. That's pretty mild today. How was the track running this morning in the women's race?
The track was a little harder. Oh, we see a little bit of a tap before entry of Kreisel. There might be a little bit of speed loss as he's coming down the track. And now another tap outside of Kreisel. He's going to really have to rein it in. High line coming off of corner 9. Really nice save off of the exit of 9. But this is probably a run he's going to wish he hadn't had today.
Well, let's wait and see what everybody else gets. It's always hard with the first sled. It looks like disaster, and then, oh no, everybody else is pretty sketchy. Now, the first 3 sleds, brand new record, because it is a brand new bottom part to the track. The first few sleds, first 3, are outside of the top 10 in World Cup standings. And so they're drawn at random from the next group of sleds. And so they're not always necessarily likely to be the fastest drivers, but he gets the track record. Imagine that may not stay for too much longer.
Getting that top 3 rank in a race is so crucial. You get the fastest ice, and so you have the best opportunity to lay down a really great start and give yourself a chance to get that second run. Again, as we see the highlight coming through Kreisel, he does do a little bit of a squeeze, too much pressure, as we like to call it as a driver, which keeps him stuck on that right wall, bumping his way through to corner 8.
So, all right, first sled down. Next up, Canada's Pat Norton, your teammate. World Cup best, 6th place here last time out, and that last time out was just January of this year. Chris Homestead on the brakes, 31-year-old in only his second World Cup start. Raced four-man in Cortina as well, so bringing new guys into the crew.
Yes, Pat's got a brand new crew on his team this year, and they seem to be gelling really well. They're really working hard to get this four-man to be rolling. Last week didn't get a second run, so I think this week he's really hoping to use some of the magic he had in February to get a second run today.
Nice and quiet early on, just 400s behind Lee Chun-jan.
Top speed coming through the upper Labyrinth and going into Kreisel. He's coming down the correct side of the straightaway into Kreisel, and a really nice exit as he goes through corner 8.
Hard to control all the weight in these four-man sleds. And you know what it's like to be a brakewoman in the back of a four-man?
I have. I fortunately was sitting too behind the great Kaylee Humphreys, and on this track, great runs that we had at the time. Yeah, seeing some hits down, and we're going to see many hits. I don't think I've seen any sled come through that corner cleanly.
Yeah, that's a bit of a hip dislocator there, isn't it, when you get a big side-on belt. So, Loica Stoikos, he's at 2. Johan Eskrik Parkinson at 3. Chris Homestead at 4. And the gap between them and the Chinese sled, 1400ths of a second. Now, these guys will be vying to be in the top 20.
As we get this great shot of this corner here, it looks really good for essentially his, I believe this is the second World Cup race here in Innsbruck, driving some pretty decent lines. And as I mentioned before, you're going to see a lot of hits coming out of this corner, and it's just a matter of how well you manage the hit coming off of corner 13.
Yeah, you saw him cutting a lot of ice as he slid off the exit of 13. Trying to hold it off the wall. Next up, Jakub Prochaska. Second World Cup start as a driver for Jakub. Cortina was his four-man driving debut. And Jindra Pavel, the brakeman, also new to the squad, made his debut in Cortina. So the rebuilding.
Oh, and we have a hit coming into corner 1. That's going to bleed a lot of velocity that they've just really worked hard to get. This is what the tricky part about Innsbruck is. You want to run it deep, but not too deep that you squirrel out or skid out of the grooves and basically bleed all the velocity you've built up.
And if you're quiet enough loading that you all load in a straight line, that's great. The sled doesn't kick sideways, but it is on polished ice, so sideways is very easy.
Yes. And I experienced that this morning. When you are training on training ice, the ice isn't as fast. You're not on prepared runners. And then on race day, it's really a skill to learn how to drive with prepared ice. Ooh, a little bit of a flop off of corner 11 there. Or corner 10, sorry.
Yeah, gathered it all up, but a little rattle. Second best speed. Is he going to be ahead of the Canadians? No, he's another 10th back. It's going to be interesting to see how the track holds up over the course of what'll be 50 half-ton, not quite half-ton sleds, but getting on for half-ton sleds.
Got to commend him for being able to keep that velocity with that skid coming out of the grooves. Really testament of his driving skill.
Yeah. Well, luck or judgment, I guess it depends where you slap the wall, doesn't it? If you tap the wall with the front, it probably keeps going relatively straight. If you hit it with the back, then, okay, all bets are off. This is out of Kreisel. This is into the lower Labyrinth. Remains as it was to here. And you see where the new track comes in. Yeah, the horns for the GOAT, Francesco Friedrich. 9 consecutive four-man wins on this track.
499 start, and they ran it really deep, but one of the things that makes Friedrich such a skilled pilot and his team, a crew of experts, is how quietly they loaded into that sled to maintain the velocity.
And they got relative new boy Tim Becker at 2 with Alex Schuller and Felix Straub, who's made the four-man breaks his position. It's all about fitting the bodies in as well as you can.
You see a little bit of a runner correction. Friedrich is an expert. He knows if he's not online, how to get it right back online and continue on to the next corner.
Yeah, that little shimmy of the hand straightens up the skid. I don't know how, but it always seems to. Half a second up.
That's the first sled we see coming through 13 and 14 without hitting. Again, a testament to his skill level.
And that's not just a skill level, it's the analysis that they put into it. They're looking at everybody else's runs as well. They'll have looked at what happened in the two-man, how to get through. Brand new track record, 51.67 now. He's the first of our expected front runners. Looking for his 10th consecutive win here. And he has 149 World Cup podiums to date.
Amazing. Like we mentioned before, you see a little bit of that fluttering of the runners. It's just to keep it straight, to keep it from hitting the walls, get it back online. And this 13-14 transition is just beautiful. Just skims through, credit carded, as we like to say it on the Canadian program.
So brings it a little earlier out of 13, so he's not getting thrown over to the right-hand side. That's the way it's done. That's the video everybody else will be looking at. Next up for the USA, third World Cup start for Chris Horn. Made his driving debut in Lake Placid in March 2024. And 7th place in Cortina. Really good run. Had a bronze medal here as well as a brakeman for Hunter Church in the US sled. With Carsten Vissering, Hunter Powell and Caleb Furnell, the same four-man crew that raced in Cortina last week.
Chris is a fast starter, so it'll be interesting to see how close he gets to Friedrich's start time.
Well, 4:99 is the mark, 5:04, just 500ths away.
Very good for a relatively new pilot, still developing, but one to watch over the years to come.
Yeah, he was the double push champion in Lake Placid a couple of years ago. Gap 1700ths of a second. Don't forget that Friedrich was 0.6 clear of everybody else, but now we're in the top 10 sleds, so hopefully the gaps will be tighter.
Chris had a bit of a skid coming out of corner 6 into 7, so we will see a little bit of a dip in his time as he's getting closer to the finish line.
Looks like 9:10 is a little cleaner with the weight of the four-man helping you.
Really nice lines down at the bottom. A little bit of a hit, but again, we're going to see many of those. It won't take too much of a time out of his downtime.
All right, 52.08. So if that's a top 10 run, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was. That was pretty clean as well. So the extra weight in the four-man sled helps plant the runners on the ice a little bit more. The problem, of course, is that that creates drag, and so it's that balance between having control and having speed.
Yes, the four-man, from what I've heard, is relatively easy to drive, but it also can get pretty hairy pretty quickly. So it's always a fine skill to be able to jump between the two-man and a four-man sled and know that you've got a lot more weight behind you, but a lot more responsibility in your hands as well.
Yeah. All right, so there is your driver, Chris Horn, lying in second place. First 5 sleds down in our field of 30. First of our 3 Swiss sleds is 31-year-old Cedric Follador. This is his 25th four-man World Cup race. Best of 4th place in Samaritz in January of this year. Nicola Mariani, Omar Fergala, and Dominic Schlepfer having his first four-man race of the season.
5:14 start, not too bad. Right in the mix with the sleds that have gone so far, but second fastest velocity, which again shows how well they all loaded into the sled and maintained the speed that they created.
Yes, getting that oomph as well as the speed off the line. 4th on the splits, now just creeping ahead of the first 3 starters.
Really nice smooth lines as we get through Kreisel here. And again, that really nice slingshot effect that you can create for yourself off of Kreisel will really help maintain the speed as you get further and further down the track.
Well, it looks neat and tidy, as did Chris Horns, and he's right in the same sort of speed bracket as the American sled.
He is falling a little back. Actually, I will eat my words. He has come back into second place. A little bit of a hard hit there on the finish, but he is only 3900ths back from the lead, but in second place. It's a really good finish for him.
Yeah, 200s ahead of Chris Horn. So they were outstarted by a 10th and finished 200s ahead of the Americans. And the bobsleigh rule is a 10th at the top should be 3/10 advantage at the bottom. So it's a good drive from Cedric Follador.
Especially in a track like this where it's relatively easy to get down. And so that, bobsleigh math does really check out, but because of how hard it is to get down fast, you can really eat up the start advantage that you've created for yourself with just the little taps on the sides of the wall.
14 corners, 14 opportunities to give speed away. All right, next up, Austria's Markus Kreisel with Markus Sammer, Sascha Stepan and Christian Huber. Huber on the back, his last race was in Samoritz in January. Markus Sammer in his 68th four-man World Cup race. So Sammer was on the two-man yesterday. See how they wait until the sled stabilizes before they all drop in together. That's a good starting technique.
5 start. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen someone outpush Friedrich. This is great. Obviously, Kreisel is the hometown favorite. He knows this track better than anyone else in the field. So it'll be interesting to see if he's got any secret speed lines as he comes down.
And this was the weekend last year when he blew his knee out. He was having the season of seasons. He'd been on the podium. He'd been a real challenger in 2- and 4-man. And then blew his meniscus, and that was the end of his season. So he's still recovering from that. It's a good-looking drive.
Yeah, really smooth. Oh, kind of came off of 10 there with a skid.
Yep. Late out of 10, late all the way through the Labyrinth. Got to avoid the walls onto the line. Second place, but 4/10 back.
And he ties with Folidor, so it'll be interesting to see how he breaks that tie for the second run.
Well, he started 2/10 quicker than Folidor.
Yes.
That's an astonishing start for Markus Kreisel and the crew. I mean, they tied the start record in Cortina last week as well with 4:77. So these boys are pushing out of their skins, all 4 of them.
It sounds like they've just heard that they pushed that 95, and they are excited, and they should be. So Markus comes down. You see a little bit of a turning of his runners. He sees that he's really tight to that driver's right wall. You don't want to get knocked away going into 10, but, you know, he knows how to control it, come around down.
Hit the roof in 10.
Yeah.
He really did.
We call those speed taps.
Yeah.
We like to convince ourselves that
the Austrians like the high line there.
Yeah.
Both Lea Hasselvanter and Kati Baal were way up in 10, not that way up. All right, next up, Patrick Baumgartner of Italy, our 2012 Youth Olympic champion on this track. Last race here was his best, a 5th place finish in January. And of course, home games in Cortina in February for this Italian, all the Italian crews.
A little squirrely coming out of the grooves, but 5:06 for a start. Really good push time. A little bit of a wave coming through 3. It doesn't affect you too much, but it can if the ice were a little softer. You're just creating more drag and more travel on the corner.
4th at the start, up to 3rd on the split. So creeping ahead of Chris Horn of the USA. We have a tie for 2nd.
Ooh, and a skid coming out of 9. That might do him in. It's going to be hard to come back from that. But you know what? He's only 2,800s back. He's close to that finish line. It might not hurt him as much as I think it will.
Well, it depends how he lands on the bottom. Just a little tag on the wall, 52 dead, so quicker than Kreisel, quicker than Folidor. So he's 600s ahead in 2nd place. You've still got a packed field of talent to come down, but that's a good first run from Baumgartner. Nobody's going to get a 4-man down clean, maybe apart from Friedrich, but maybe Lochner too. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, the sleds that are all ranked in that top 10 ranking, they go off 4th till 13th. And so you're going to see some really great clean lines, and it's a fun race to watch because everyone's going to be really good. It's just a matter of how you separate yourself from that top 10 group.
If you can.
If you can,
It's such a knife fight, isn't it? They're all they've got a hand on each other's throat. There's 100th here, 100th there. Now then, what about this young man, Adam Amor, 24-year-old, the 3rd of our German sleds in terms of his standing. 15th World Cup start. Again, experienced crew, Joshua Tascher, Benedikt Hertel and Rupert Schenk on the back.
5:04 start.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? Top velocity. So sometimes you do have to trade off start time for velocity on a track like this.
Take velocity every time.
Exactly.
The numbers are great, but the speed is what gives you the golds.
Exactly. A little bit floppy as he's coming around through these upper corners.
Second best speed coming down into the Kreisel. Nice height. Can he drive it out straight? He does.
He is falling a little bit back, but We know the German pilots are so skilled, and they're not on World Cup because they're here to learn. They're on World Cup because they're here to win. So we'll see him in the second run clean up this run, and there's no doubt in my mind he'll stake a claim on that podium.
Oh, just the tiniest little touch on the wall, but 51.97, he's in second place. 2 World Cup outings here in 4-man. He's been 4th in both of them. Tantalisingly close to the medals. 3rd best start, 2nd best run. Outdriving your start is where it's at. Well, Friedrich's done that, actually, because he now is only the 2nd fastest starter, and he's 1st.
You see this load. Again, the Germans are perfectionists, and they're really good at sinking it deep and not letting the sled squirrel or kick out so you lose any time. Amor does come off of this corner and really has to steer hard to avoid a skid. He's able to correct and get it going online a little bit late into the next corner, but it doesn't affect him too much.
So next up is the 3rd most successful 4-man bobsleigh pilot, Great Britain's Brad Hall. 18 medals in the 4-man. Only Lochner and Friedrich are better in the current field. Ollie Butterworth, Leon Greenwood and Greg Cackett on the back of the sled. 5.11's a pretty good start considering not all of them are entirely healthy.
Yeah, Brad's always a great sled to watch. He's been in the sport for so long, and he's been really working hard at his craft, and you can see it when he's on, he's on.
Silver medal in the race here in January in the 4-man. He's had 4 silver medals in Innsbruck.
Very nice, clean lines as he's coming through Kreisel onto corner 8 here. He is falling a little bit back, but we'll hope to see that he has a good second run, but this run doesn't look, it looks very, very clean.
Yeah, little late flop coming into the Labyrinth. Got to avoid the final taps out of 14, just does, and a 52.23, 7th place. Not quite firing on all 8 cylinders the way he would like to be at the end of the season. And Cynthia, this is really you want to be competitive all the way through, but you can't lose sight of the fact that February is the goal, not November.
Exactly. It's great to have the #1 start and the #1 downtime during the World Cups, but you want to peak for February. That's what we're here for. We're trying to get all the rust off, the cobwebs off after a summer of training. And some people will have a slow start and some people will hit, the guns running. But it's all about February and being #1 in Cortina.
Yeah, it's not just this season, it's the last 4 years have been building up to this. Friedrich Amor, Baumgartner, the top 3, Treichel, Followdor and Chris Horn giving chase. 10 sleds into our field of 30. Race 1 of the IBSF 4-man bobsleigh, race 2 of the IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. And this is Mickey Vogts, our 11th starter, with Dominic Hufschmidt, Andy Haas and Amadou Ndiaye, who was on the back of the 2-man yesterday. Best result in 8 previous World Cup starts, a 6th place finish in February 2 years ago, and a 5.08 is a solid start.
4th fastest velocity, so really great loading by the guys. And Michael Vogt is a great driver. Again, similar to Brad, has been in the sport for a long time, is a master of his craft. Isn't at 100% yet, but again, we're here to peak for February.
Yeah, he tweaked his back the other week, so he's still struggling quite with that. Not bad exit out of the Kreisel down through corner 8.
He's starting to come back up. He's now 5th on the splits.
Nice control in corner 9 and 10 as well. The Labyrinth will decide it if he can carry the speed here. Little square tap, but a big looping swerve through 13 and 14, or through 14 rather. So 52.06 at the line.
Now there's a 3-way tie for 4th place.
Well, we like a tie.
That's what we love about Innsbruck. Innsbruck always has ties.
Yes, it does. So a 3-way dead heat. It's only 52 odd seconds to get down, but all the same. So in this new section of the Labyrinth, this is the exit of 13, hits front and then back, and that just throws you out sideways.
And you see him get on the corner quite violently, and he really has to turn in. His back end actually kicks up. So that's maybe where he lost a little bit more speed as he got towards the finish line.
Yeah, he'd have been a couple of hundreds up. Now then, our winner in Cortina, well, in two-man and four-man, Johannes Lochner. And a milestone for the man at 2. Torsten Margis starts his 100th four-man World Cup race. Jörn Wenzel, Georg Fleischhauer load at 3 and 4.
5:02 starts. Wow.
11 World Cups here previously for Hansi. 1 win, 7 other medals. But he hasn't won here since December 2017.
He's coming around relatively clean. A little bit of a swiggle there as he's coming through corner 6 into Kreisel. Hopefully doesn't take too much out of the sled.
2/10 back. 3/10 off the lead is Adam Amor. So is Lochner going to be able to close in on Friedrich like he did yesterday?
He comes and taps before corner 13, which will send him late, and then that's expected, that tap out of 14 or into 14.
Yeah, leaves himself with an awful lot to do to try and claim a second win of the season. Again, this may not necessarily be his favourite track. I think Cortina definitely is, judging by the smiles last week. I mean, the results notwithstanding, 2 golds, but he just loved it so much.
Yeah, I think a lot of people by the end of the 2 weeks of just training there going into the World Cup loved the Cortina track. First day, probably not so much. As we're watching highlights coming through corner 10 here, you do see that Lochner skids, and that does bleed a lot of time. And as he enters into corner 14, that little bump, it seems innocuous, does take a lot of time off of your downtime. And as you see, he skids into 14, which, you know, when you're at the bottom of the track, you're trying to stay online, parallel through to the finish line.
With the sled at the front there, big Torsten Margis, 100th four-man World Cup start. Now, Kim Jin-soo, 10th World Cup as a driver. He did 27 as a brakeman for Yoon Jong-won. And last week in Korea took his, last week in Cortina, took his and Korea's first four-man World Cup medal with the bronze. I mean, what a weekend he had in Cortina. 4th in the two-man, bronze in the four-man.
Jin-soo Kim has been a team to watch. Coming out last year, first World Cup in the two-man, wins a bronze medal. Comes out this season on the Cortina test event and Olympic track, wins a bronze medal there in the four-man. He's definitely a team to watch.
And these guys with a good start as well, 5:01. They've got new Valna sleds.
Comes out of corner 6 and is on the wrong side and taps, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him, and that's that's expected to see him come out. He probably had to course correct in the middle of the Kreisel, and that just, yeah, it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah, these are all the classic errors, aren't they? Skidding 9 to 10, flopping off late into the Labyrinth.
Yeah, this is certainly a training run that's crept into the race day.
Again, maybe like Hansi Lochner, he really gelled with Cortina, and maybe not quite so much here. 2 7th places here, though, so it's not his worst track by some stretch. 9th place, though, after the first 13 sleds.
Yeah, you see him come really down and hard just so he doesn't rise back up and potentially roll over off the exit here. But then that sends him into a skid as he goes into corner 8 and might have hit the hammer. No, he just skids by, but you just see all that ice spraying back up. It's just unnecessary pressure that he's creating. Yeah,
when the sled's going left and the corner's turning right, you know that it's not going to be the quickest move. Next up, Taylor Austin for Canada. The 35-year-old in his 17th World Cup four-man start. Raced here in January in the World Cup. He's done 2 Europe Cup races here as well, so 2 race weekends on this track. Mike Evelyn, Mark Zanet and Shaq Murray-Lawrence are the crew. Didn't make the cut in his race in January, his only previous World Cup race here.
All right, 5:14, still right in the mix of some of our earlier starters, but 6th fastest velocity. And if there's one thing about Tay and his crew, they can have a fast velocity.
Great looking sled, fantastic wrap it's got on it, really looks the business.
Yeah, I'm I'm trying to get it on my sled as well, but 7th fastest velocity.
7th best speed.
Yeah.
That's really good. 11th at the start, and he's bringing it back from 13th place on the splits. So he needs to be clean below the Kreisel.
Oh, and he's coming out and skidding.
Yeah. And tap and into the woodwork and flops off 10 as well.
Hopefully he can reel it in into his... Oh, and he's skidding going into 14. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is...
The brakemen were aviating there, weren't they? They were clear off the floor of the sled.
Yeah, they will feel that. That's an unfortunate line. Tay's been very consistent all training week long. And he's shaking his head. He knows that was not the run he wanted to put down.
And so much, I mean, this is such a short track and so compressed. So much of these errors aren't standalone. They just knock on to the next corner and the next and the next.
Yes, and the problem started here as he came off of corner 12 and created himself a little much of a pressure skid. Came around and course corrected in the middle of the corner, but almost overdid it. And now is pointing towards the wall when he wants to be pointing straight. And that just... You see the articulation almost max out there. The guys are bobbling behind him. Sometimes when it snowballs in front of you, it snowballs fast, and the best you can do is just go along for the ride.
Especially in the Labyrinth. It just comes at you so quick.
Yes.
They're doing 75 miles an hour plus. All right, so Timo Röner for Switzerland, his 16th four-man World Cup. Luca Rolli, Timanen, and debutant Enrico Guntert. Yesterday, Enrico started his first ever race in the two-man. Today, in the four-man.
5:17, 13th fastest velocity. So we'll see how he's able to carry this through to the bottom.
Well, he's got good experience here. He's raced in Innsbruck in 5 World Cup races and about a dozen Europe Cup races as well. This is one of the tracks he knows best of all, probably even better than St. Moritz.
Really nice line coming off of 6 into Kreisel here. Nice into 8. A little course correction in that straightaway, but nothing to worry about. He's still going straight, really carrying that speed down with him.
Well, he's out driving his start, 15th at the start, 14th on the splits at the moment. This is a pretty clean run until he hits the wall at the bottom. 13th, 52.55. Again, if you're out driving your start here, you are doing a good job on the D-rings.
Very much so. It's very hard to get down this track fast. It's fairly easy to get down. It's almost seen as a driver's track or a learner's track. When new drivers switch into the sport, whether they're from brakemen or they're just coming into the sport entirely cleanly, a lot of them will start on this Innsbruck track.
And lots of them, the local kids start here at 3, 4, 5 years of age on little luge sleds down at the bottom of the track. So it is definitely a nursery as well as a top flight racetrack. So Timo Röner comes down in 13th place out of our 15 sleds so far. We are halfway through the first heat. China's Sun Kai-chi in his 20th four-man World Cup race. Best ever, Beijing, at the beginning of last season, he took the bronze medal. He was 6th here in December 2023, the first race in Europe. Buoyed up by that success, 5:03. That's a cracking start from the Chinese crew.
Start time.
Zhang Jin, his man at 2, only in his 2nd World Cup race. Made his debut in Cortina last week. He's clearly been a good addition to this team.
It's great to see that the legacy of the Beijing Games is still being continued with these teams. Like, China has really been funding their teams. They've got 3 men's sleds, 2 women's sleds. I don't doubt that they've got more athletes on the Asia Cup circuit and Europa Cup circuit coming up.
Yep.
A really great sign of the sport growing internationally.
And they are absolutely fitting in with everybody else. They don't look like they're sort of a bit lost in the headlights, although...
A little bit of highlines coming through 12 and 13, but...
Might be some redemption for Taylor Austin of Canada. No, 12th place. Dallas Traiskins. See, that's a brakeman again, watching that going, I know what that feels like. I know what... They're all thinking, are we over? No, we're not.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than those 2 bottom corners, everything was looking very, very good. Hopefully he's able to take some of that lessons learned and bring it back to the second run.
Yep.
Really clean it up.
Two Chinese sleds, 11th and 12th at the moment. But you know what that's like, sitting in the back seat when you start to aviate off the floor of the sled. Bring us down.
Yes, there's nothing more unsettling than knowing that eerie, quiet sound of, yeah, we're about to be on our side for a while, aren't we?
Are we going to use our helmets soon? All right, now then, Roman Heinrich with Niels Blairon, Antoine Rieu, and Dorian Hauteville. Antoine Rieu, former brakeman for Monaco. Raced for Rudy Rinaldi a couple of times in four-man and joined the French team for Cortina. So this is Roman's 32nd four-man World Cup start. Had a really great day yesterday in the two-man.
It's really great to see Romain back. I think he had made his intentions known that after Beijing would have been his last games, but he's now back and getting ready for a home games in 4 years' time.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah, he was retired, and then they announced La Plagne is going to be the sliding venue for 2030. So suddenly he's unretired, and he wants not just to compete. What he wants to do is help young athletes come through behind him and fill the gap.
Really nice lines as he's coming down through this Innsbruck track.
6 at the start. It is drifting away a little. I wonder how much speed is left in the track. Third best speed at the bottom.
Oh, wow.
11th at the line. 52.32. Along the left there is France's last Olympic bobsled medalist. Nagano 98, Bruno Mijon. Four-man bronze, tied with the British coach now, Sean Olsen. So will be a great opportunity. I think Roman is probably driving as well as he ever has.
It certainly looks like it. They were in our training session this week, and I was looking at their lines because both him and Margot were driving so well. Even with everyone having their issues through this new lower labyrinth, they seem to be squeaking by just perfectly.
Nice from 9 to 10. Okay. So tied for 11th with Lee Chun-Jan. Next up is Dave Esselink of the Netherlands. It's only his 5th ever World Cup four-man start. He raced here in January, and that's his only World Cup on this track. Brothers Janko and Jelen Francic and new boy Timmy Costa on the back. 15th place last week in Cortina, his World Cup best result, so they started their season with a bang. And that's a good getaway as well, 5:06.
5:06 start, and again, 6th fastest velocity, really carrying that speed that they're carrying with them through the first couple corners.
They started so strongly in the two-man yesterday. Jelen Francic really helping with Dave Esselink. And Dave's come on leaps and bounds on the front handles. Runners up in the air there.
And we see that reflected in the speed as they're now having the 13th fastest time. Really high line coming through Kreisel, and now has to work a little hard to come off of that corner without losing too much time or speed.
So he was struggling to adapt to the speed of the track early on. As you said, on race prep runners and on race prep ties, it's all coming at you a little quicker than in training.
Yes.
Tiniest touch there. That's the best sneak through since Francesco Friedrich, and a 52.39 run. All right, so 14th place ahead of Pat Norton, Timo Rona, Jakub Prochaska and Taylor Austin. So he's got 4 sleds behind him. If you're sort of 12th, 13th, 14th right now, you should probably make the second heat. They'll all go and warm up anyway.
Yeah. A really interesting line coming off of 5. That back end runner comes up and catches some air, and it just slams back down, which is then creating more friction. And this high line through Kreisel, hopefully he didn't hit any frost, because that would slow your sled down, and he has to really work it off the corner to not skid. He does have a little bit of a skid, and he's going what we like to call nose in, but not on line.
Studying the video, you always know that TV crew are going to show you your lowlights. For the USA, Frank Del Duca, what a day they had in the women's competition this morning. 3 US sleds in the top 6, 2nd, 4th and 6th, splitting the German domination. And Frank Del Duca, 8th place here in February 2023. He was 10th in January of this year. 5:14. New boy Bryce Cheek on the back. Made his 2- and 4-man debut last week in Cortina. Again, had a good two-man race yesterday. Frankie driving really well this season.
Oh, we see a little bit of a skid coming off of corner 6 into Kreisel.
That was the curse of the commentator.
Yeah, he's going to have a really hard time to rein it back in. There's not much track left, and it's very even and flat for the bottom portion of the track.
Yeah, so easy to give it away, isn't it? Now, if he has a clean Labyrinth, and this is not bad at all, if he can avoid the wall as well. No, doesn't creep ahead of Taylor Austin, so he is at the tail of the field, and that might be one and done for Frank Del Duca.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Frankie's a very, very good driver, and you can see it in his two-man results. They might want to take this back home and figure out how to bring some of that magic into the four-man.
Yeah. Yeah, the body language tells you everything you need to know about that run, doesn't it? Just walks away.
You just know, and as a pilot, there's nothing more frustrating than knowing that, you know, your crew's giving you some really good pushes and you're not able to get them down fast.
Again, just trying to keep the nose low, the back of the sled moving around behind him. So maybe something just not quite what they needed in the setup, but the drive wasn't impeccable either. Next up, Jakobs Calendar of Latvia, tied for 7th here in January. Made his driving debut back in January 2023. Mats Miknes, the man at 4, in his 95th four-man race, having started in Europe Cup on this track in November 2014. I know. And still healthy and still knocking it out the park. It was on the two-man sled yesterday as well.
You can't ask for more than that. A long career in this sport. Yeah. Very few people get to say that.
Yeah, Miknes in what is his 124th World Cup race. It's just insane.
Coming through Kreisel, little taps here and there in the upper portion of the track. But coming down relatively clean so far, and he taps as I say that.
It's catching because the commentator, 9 and 10, not the tidiest.
Very interesting 12 there to come off cleanly into 13, but does take that tap out of 14. Really, typical. Yeah,
really hauled it through 14 as well. So 9th at the start, 18th at the bottom. Not seeing much in terms of fast runs at the moment. It's a mild day. It's pretty humid as well. Cloudy, overcast, damp, all the things that ice doesn't like.
Yeah, the ice might start to be giving away some of that speed that we saw earlier on. It could also be runner choice. They may have gone with a more skiddy or thicker radius, which may not necessarily be as forgiving if you do make a mistake.
Yeah, it's that balance, isn't it, between having minimum friction for best speed and having some control of the sled.
Yeah, and we see him really having to almost bow and arrow it off of corner 9 to save it from skidding through. You just create so much friction and lose so much time when you do that.
And the real problem is that the last time they had a foreman on this track was on Thursday, and Sunday is a very different day. Francesco Friedrich, Adam Moore, and Patrick Baumgartner, the top 3. Outside the top 20 now, you've got to bump somebody to make the field. It's Martin Krantz or Frank Del Duca of the USA.
522, this is a relatively young team, up-and-coming team. Really great lines that we've seen from training. But we'll see how he's able to make it his own and see if he can get into that top 20 spot.
Yeah, driver Martin Krantz turned 23 on Friday, the day off, rest day, so gym work and polishing runners.
Best way to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, raced yesterday. Can he make it off the 21st start into the top 20?
Ooh, and a little bit of a skid and a tap coming into that straightaway before corner 10.
I was about to say that's going to make it hard, and almost as I thought it, his position clicked up to 20th, up to 19th for Martin Krantz of Liechtenstein, wow. 16th at the line.
Very impressive, honestly. That's a...
You see, I'm thinking what those faces are saying. They're looking at each other going, how did that happen there then?
Sometimes the track can bless you and sometimes it can curse you, and Martin got a very, very lucky blessing with that skid.
And tied with Timo Rohner of Switzerland. So they'll either both be in or both be out.
Yeah, he trusted it. He knew where he needed to be. He didn't overwork it, and that rewarded him with not losing any time.
Sometimes take the tap, not the skid. Yeah, all right. So, no second heat for Frank Del Duca. On the bubble now in 20th, Taylor Austin of Canada. So it's him or Mihai Tentea. Mihai with 7 World Cup starts here in 4-man. 3 14th places are his best results. Konstantin Dinescu and Andrei Nika, and on the back is Mihai Pacianu, the former skeleton athlete. Nice neat load, and a 5.16 is no slouch at a getaway. We've just seen Liechtenstein make it into 16th off a 5.22.
Very nice, smooth lines coming through these upper portions of the track.
Again, I'm going to condemn him now by saying that Mihai almost always outdrives his start ranking.
Yeah, we're seeing it with 13th fastest speed as he's coming through Kreisel. Let's see if he can pick up some more time as he gets down the track. And there he goes. He has that tap on the right-hand side of the driver's side of the sled. And a skid coming into corner 9, or corner 10.
Yeah, at the moment is in the race, and Taylor Austin is out now. He slips behind. Ooh, and a little rocky into the Labyrinth. Decent speed, but not enough. Oh, it is enough. Okay, all right. So Julian Pacianu there on the right-hand side there. Head coach just in by the skin of his teeth. So Taylor Austin and Frank Del Duca, 2 experienced drivers, do not get a second heat. And Jakobs Calendar of Latvia is currently in the drop zone in 20th. Again, a little like Martin Krantz, didn't fight it, took the tap, allowed it to come straight.
And he was rewarded with that at the bottom, with that tick up back into 19th place.
Again, little square tap actually sent him pretty okay into 14, but not yet safe. So, okay, this is going to be tough. 1 Latvian will be in, 1 will be out unless they are dead heat. 21-year-old new boy, Renars Grantins, made his debut in 2 and 4-man in Cortina. Finished 20th in the 4-man. The twins, Davis and Laris Kaufmans and Edgars Nemmer are the crew. And a 5.09 is the sort of start you need when you're this deep in the field.
Velocity, that is impressive. We're starting to see remnants of that old Latvian team with Malbardis and Kiebermanis having top times, top start times, top velocities. You know, this is a very young team, and, you know, the future's very, very bright for them.
Yep. Came into the sport in the Youth Olympics, finished in 8th place in Pyeongchang 2 years ago. I think the Latvians quite fancy him as a big talent for the future. That's a good line as well. He's in the race at the moment, 13th best start, and he's just stopped losing time.
Oh, starting to go back the other way.
Across the line, just outside. Oh, that was close. 52.6. Well, the start is there, the experience maybe not.
Yes, a couple more years of Europa Cup and World Cup racing, and he'll be right back into the top 10.
Well, he's only been in sport 3 years. He's had 2 Europe Cup races on this track, so 1 weekend of sliding before this weekend. Steering hard there and then realising he'd overdone it.
Yeah, a little bit of a hit on that back bunk as he's going through corner 5.
And again here, really maxing out,
working that sled to make sure the sled goes back online. You see all that spraying of the ice coming up is just friction that slows the sled down.
Well, if you carve with skis or ice skates like that, you know the effect it has. Exactly the same here. So, 24th of our 30 starters, young Austrian Jakob Mandelbauer. His birthday was Monday of this week. Dominic Hanschmidt, Diane Nichols-Bardi and Daniel Betzler are the crew. Finished in 17th place in the race here in January. Made his debut the previous year. That's a good start as well. The Austrians are really upping the ante off the block here.
Another hometown favorite with Jakob Mandelbauer. He knows this track very, very well. We saw it yesterday in the two-man race where he held his position for quite some time. So we'll be interesting to see how well he does in today's race in the four-man.
13th best start. If he's anywhere near that by the bottom of the run, he should make the second heat, but the time is ebbing away a little. Going to be close at the moment. Jakob's calendar is still in the race in 20th.
Flopping off of 10 doesn't seem to be too much of an issue for him. That square tap, that's, you know, as we said, that everyone's going to take that tap, and that square tap sets you up really well for the final corner.
So 22nd at the line, one and done for Jakob Mandelbauer as well. Kati Beyer and Lea Hasselwanter both made it through into the second heat of the women's race. It will only be the number one Austrian driver, Markus Treichel, who makes it through in the four-man.
Yeah, you can sense he's disappointed. This is your home track, and you obviously want to show up and do well. When you only get a one and done, you know, you do beat yourself up a little bit. But like again, he's a young, developing pilot. He's going to be so great in the future.
Yeah, and you know you're not alone. 30 sleds, only 20 go through. So when you're looking around the changing room, 1 in 3 of you is going to be back early. So it is pretty intense, the pressure, especially when you start outside the top 20. Now then, what about Matej Behunek for the Czech Republic? 11th World Cup start for him. Finished in 14th place in January's race. Made his World Cup debut here as well in February 2023. In fact, 4 of his 10 World Cup races have been on this track. So he's got good knowledge.
5:15 start, 21st best start, 14th best velocities though. So hopefully he can carry some of that speed down and maintain that velocity throughout the track.
Now loading nicely. Let's see if he can make it through. Still outside the top 20. Speed is looking good. The lines are looking good as well, Cynthia.
Yeah. And that's all you can hope for. You know, if you don't have the best start, the best thing you can do is just throw down some really nice, clean, consistent lines. Who knows what gets you down there? As I say that, though, he does come out and tap out of corner 8, which will bleed a lot of time for him.
Oof. Yeah, I think after that run through the Labyrinth, the crew might be not particularly disappointed not to have to do it a second time, but you always want to compete. So 52.70 downtime, 23rd. Ahead of Taylor Austin and Frank Del Duca. Still, they both the Canadian and the American driver had absolute shockers.
Yeah.
I mean, they are likely to finish almost right out the tail of the field.
Yeah. Coming out of Kreisel here, a little bit of a skid going into corner 8, which again will bleed just so much time and speed. It's a very flat section of the track. And then coming off of corner 9, likely as a result of coming late into corner 9, he had to really work it off, taps, skids, and then skids again before corner 10. And at that point, you kind of have to pull the brakes. The race is over for you.
All the cardinal sins. Okay, now for the USA, Jeff Gabois with Quentin Arello at 2 in his second World Cup start. Adrian Adams at 3, sorry, Age. 37th World Cup race for Adrian Adams, and Brian Sassou on the back, making his four-man debut. He's done 4 North America's Cup races, the brakeman, in a four-man, and a couple in a two-man. So new to the team. 5:14 start. Is that enough to give Jeff Gabois a shot?
And he bubbles through that second pressure of corner 2, which, again, a lot of travel that you're going to be creating for yourself. And we see it reflected in his positioning right now. He's now fallen to 22nd position.
It's not a good day for the US men in the four-man. Chris Horn looks like being the only one who is going to make the cut, and he made it pretty convincingly.
Yeah, but another skid and a hit coming into corner 10.
9/10 back and change.
Really nice corner 12 into 13, but unfortunately it's not enough to give him a second run.
52.99 behind Frank Del Duca. A lot of head scratching from the coaches and the drivers, I think, here. 5:14, 17th best start, but that doesn't really explain 26th at the bottom.
Yeah, this is pretty much what did it for him. Once you bubble through this second corner, it's really hard to kind of get your speed back online for your sled.
Heads bouncing in the back of the sled. Gives you an idea of some of the violence of these machines.
Yeah, we do see, it looks like the third crewman, his head is up a little bit, which does play into aerodynamics. Four-man is real about aerodynamics, and if anyone's sticking up, you do lose more time.
Driver change, or brakeman change here rather, behind Jakub Zarewski of Poland, Severin Sosna at 2, and Adam Balcerek at 3, the 27-year-old, making his first ever official bobsleigh race start, with Pavel Sarnecki on the back. Second World Cup outing for Zarewski as a driver. 5:35 the getaway. This crew have not pushed before in a race.
Yeah, this seems like this will be a race of experience, get your feet wet onto the World Cup, and really build back their program that has been missing off of the World Cup for a few years now.
Yeah, it's great to see Poland back with sleds in both competitions, in the men and the women's field. And Linda Wajaszewski's had a pretty good weekend. Some great starting from the Polish women's crew. Absolutely
really
flying.
High line coming off of corner 8. Manages to save it very well. I've got to commend him on that.
Height in 10 as well. Not the worst Labyrinth we've seen. 21st best speed, but at the line it's a 53.24, so one and done for the Polish crew as well. And again, you know, making your World Cup debut in an Olympic season, you could have chosen an easy year, right? You know, next year, tumbleweed.
Exactly.
but he's getting that experience, and so when he come into the next quad, he's got a season behind him, and that's where you start to build.
Exactly. Coming on to World Cup can be quite daunting, but you can say you've rubbed your elbows with the best, and then you take that back with you, and you learn, how can I be just as good as them?
Yeah, you learn by being around them as much as sort of, you know, that empathy, that observation of the people around you. You go, oh, that's what they're doing, all right.
Yeah,
okay,
that experience is invaluable.
Right, let's get back to the top 20, because Jakub's calendar is still hanging in there. We've got 2 Italian sleds and 1 Romanian left. What about Alex Virginia, Riccardo Ragazzi, Jose Abu, and Alexi Atorci Esso on the back handles. These guys missed the cut last year, 23rd place in January. 5:18. All right, that gives them a shot.
Interesting line as he's going through 2. Looked like his sled did kick up a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't affect him too much. And unfortunately it has. As you see, his splits are starting to fall down a little bit.
Well, 26th fastest start, 5:18. So he needed to have a perfect run from that.
Alex is a relatively new driver. Started off as a brakeman and is now taking, you know, his career into his own hands by becoming a driver.
Yeah.
The Italian program is going to be so strong. 3 solid drivers that are just going to carry you through to the games.
At the moment, he's ahead of Poland's Jakub Zarewski, and a 53.21, 300s in it. So neither of them will continue into the second heat. How far was he? Yeah, about 2 tenths behind Jeff Gabwa, and Frank Del Duca is another sort of near half second up, but the Italians making a mark. Virgin will be looking to get as much experience as possible in the hope of going into the field in Cortina.
Exactly. This season is going to be very much a learning experience season, and I expect that the games will likely be an experience games for him too. Not so much pressure to perform and win a medal. But then again, in 4 years' time, who knows where he will be and how great he'll be as a driver.
There you go. I don't think the Italian's going to get a 3rd sled, so there's going to be a battle between him and Mattia Variola for the 2nd sled. But before that, Andrei Turea of Romania, 25th in January's race. Mihai Kalinsea, Kalin Dimitrash, and Raresh Dinka on the back of the sled. So it's a new and relatively inexperienced crew. Torreya had a bit of a tough time trying to find the nuances of Cortina. A little more experience on this track because of his time in Europe Cup.
A little bit of aggressive load getting to the sled, but all 4 guys get in without a problem.
Quiet corner 2, but 28th at the start. Leaves him with an awful lot of work to do. That's not much speed to be able to carry down to the finish line.
And he hits a little bit of that wall before corner 4, and I suspect that it'll bleed a lot more time, unfortunately.
Again, we're looking at drivers here in their first and second World Cup seasons who are building experience. And if you're going to be racing on these tracks, you might as well be doing it in the World Cup. Keep the spots open for your nation.
Really aggressive takeoff of corner 12, and we're seeing the effects of that as he's hitting a lot of the walls coming down to the finish line.
Yeah, lots of heads being slapped around inside the sled as well. 53.32. So 29th at the line. 1 sled to go. And still, Jakob's calendar of Latvia is in 20th place, and at the moment does get a second run.
I know he is holding on to his breath right now as he's waiting for this last sled to go down.
Well, I'm sure they're busy looking after the sled, looking after themselves, staying warm and starting to warm up, because if they do go, they'll go right at the beginning of the second heat, which will be in about 25 minutes' time. So you focus as if you are going through until somebody tells you different. So the final sled, Mattia Variola of Italy, was Alex Pagnini, Fabio Batti and Mario Lambrughi, who was on the back of the 2-man with him yesterday. Now they start 30th, but they were 20th in last year's race. 5:19, they need a bit more at the start.
Again, smooth, clean lines as he's coming through 1, 2, and 3. Let's see if he can build up some more speed and velocity to get down and into that top 20 spot. A little bit of a hard takeoff of 6, and then taps going into Kreisel.
5:19 start. Jakob's Calendus, who's in 20th, started 5:05. And I'm not sure that there's the speed in the track for Variola to make much of a difference now. 27th at the start, still going to be hovering outside the top 25 places. And across the line, 53.10. So Jakob's calendar does get a second heat. Manny Mahata, the Italian coach.
Not a bad run, not a great run either. There's just some little mistakes here and there that really just ate up into a time. And if you're not pushing fast, you have to be near perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, deficit at the start on this track. It's so short. It's the shortest track we race on, and it is so hard to overcome. Even when you've got a great start, it's really easy to fritter that speed away. Wasn't the tidiest load either.
Yeah, they really took a while before they settled in, and that could have been, you know, the death knell, unfortunately, for this run.
All right, starting 30th, you always know it's an uphill struggle. So Mattia Variola does not make it through. Top of the pile, Francesco Friedrich. He got the best draw in the fast crowd, went off 4th and came down in 1st place. Second best start. They will look to turn that around in the second heat. They always chase the start records. They weren't too far away. We're only a few hundreds away from what is a 12-year-old start record. But Friedrich looking for his 10th consecutive win on this track in 4-man and his 150th World Cup podium. He leads by 3/10 from everybody else. Adam Amor, Patrick Baumgartner, Hansi Lochner, Marcus Treichel, Cedric Follador, Mickey Vogt and Chris Horn. That's the battle with Adam Amor. All of those guys, 2nd to 8th. That's the battle for the other medals. And again, as we've seen, 3-way ties, 2-way ties, 100th here, 100th there. It's going to be chaos in the second heat. So don't miss out. Unfortunately, from Reyes Grantins on down, they will miss out at least being part of it. They'll have to watch trackside. We'll be back at 2:30 local, 13:30 GMT, 08:30 Eastern, and that is in 25 minutes from now. Join us then.
Schnell und dann wieder schnell auf die Plätze zurück an die Bahn. Es wird hochspannend und das Ganze in weniger als einer halben Stunde.